Okay, well, first I'm going to talk about what is the business cycle. Then, business cycles refers to the fluctuations between production, trade, and general economic activity. In other ways to interpret it, it is the business cycle, also known as economic cycle or boom bust cycle. It is the upward and downward movements of levels of the GDP, of the gross domestic product, and refers to the period of expansions and contractions in the level economic activities around the long-term growth trend. Okay, also, we're going to talk about the monetary policy, which refers to actions undertaken by a nation's central bank to control money supply and achieve macroeconomic goals that promote sustainable economic growth. These can be broadly classified as either expansionary or contractionary, which also are tools include to open markets operations, direct lending to banks, bank reserve requirements, and conventional emergency lending programs, and managing market expectations. Okay, also we're going to talk about the role of the central banks, which they are responsible for overseeing the monetary system for a nation, along with a wide range of other responsibilities from overseeing monetary policy to implementing specific goals such as currency stability, low inflation, and full employment. The role of a central bank has grown in importance in the last century. So, to ensure the stability of a country's currency, the central bank should be the regulator and authority in the banking and monetary systems. Okay, also, what is Keynesianism? Keynesianism economics is the macroeconomic theory of total spending in the economy and its effects on the output, employment, and inflation. According to its theory, the government should stimulate demands for goods and services to encourage economic growth. So, my opinion for a question that in economic crisis the government should invest on dinosaurs or startup companies, I believe they should invest in companies that are already a staple in the market and that it can make the economy stay stable. But by no means I'm telling that they shouldn't invest in newer companies. There should always be new companies that can become the new dinosaurs of the future and leave a mark in our market. Also, in our country, which companies in my country are too big to go bankrupt? Well, I believe that any company that is renowned already. For example, most of the companies that come from Group Carso, which is one of the biggest group in Mexico, are more likely to achieve an economic stability more easily than other companies since they have more investments. Um, which industries should the government invest in? Well, I believe the government should invest in companies that look promising for our country and that are not supported by any major conglomerate. Okay, so I believe that a great way to help our economy during an economic depression or recession can be by consuming from the SMEs, so people can maintain their jobs, so our economy doesn't go even lower, and any kind of inversion doesn't get lost. Also, we're going to talk about the 2008 crisis and how the government intervened to support the economy. As we know, the governments intervened in the United States and United Kingdom and several other Western European countries. In addition, global reform of the banking industry has been discussed to reduce speculation. Measures include a super tax on bankers' bonuses and a financial transaction tax. Also, the TARP, the Troubled Asset Relief Program, was initiated, created, and run by the U.S. Treasury to stabilize the country's financial system, restore economic growth, and mitigate foreclosures in the wake of 2008 financial crisis. TARP's original purpose was to increase the liquidity of the money markets and secondary mortgages uh, markets by purchasing the mortgage-backed securities or the MBS, and through that, they reduce the potential losses of the institutions that owe them. Also, TARP's aim was modified slightly to allow the government to buy equity and in banks and other institutional financial institutions. Also, I believe by pegging its currency, a country can gain comparative trading advantages while protecting its own economic interest. A peg rate or a fixed exchange rate can keep a country's exchange rate low, helping with exports. Some countries decide to do it so they can maintain a long term predictability of exchange rates for business planning. Also, having a business cycle is important because it can affect profitability, which ultimately determines whether a business succeeds.